I used to think stiffness was just part of getting older, that waking up with tight joints and feeling like my body had aged overnight was simply the price of turning 40. But one morning, I couldn't ignore it anymore. My knees protested every staircase, my shoulders felt like rusted hinges, and the energy I once had seemed like a distant memory from another lifetime. I wasn't injured, I hadn't stopped moving, but something had shifted, and I didn't know why. That's when I started asking questions that most people avoid until it's too late. What actually happens inside our muscles as we age? Why does movement become harder when we're still capable of so much more? And is there a way to reverse what feels irreversible? The answer wasn't what I expected. It wasn't about doing more exercise or pushing harder. It was about understanding something most people overlook: the relationship between cellular energy and physical freedom. Our muscles don't just need movement, they need fuel at the most fundamental level, and after 40, that fuel starts running low. Creatine is one of those words you've probably heard in gym conversations or supplement ads, but rarely in the context of aging well. Most people associate it with bodybuilders or athletes chasing performance gains. What they don't realize is that creatine isn't just about building muscle. It's about preserving the energy currency inside every cell, the molecule that allows you to move without pain, think without fog, and live without constant fatigue. Your body produces creatine naturally, mostly in your liver and kidneys, and stores it in your muscles and brain. It plays a starring role in the ATP energy cycle, the process that powers every contraction, every thought, every heartbeat. But here's the problem. After your mid-30s, your body's natural creatine production begins to decline. And if you're not eating enough red meat or fish, that decline accelerates even faster. This isn't just about losing strength. It's about losing the capacity to move freely. When your muscles can't access quick energy, they compensate by recruiting surrounding tissues in ways they weren't designed for. That's when you start feeling tightness, inflammation, and that nagging sense that your body just isn't cooperating anymore. It's not betrayal, it's biology. I started researching the science, and what I found was both surprising and hopeful. Studies show that creatine supplementation in adults over 40 doesn't just support muscle mass, it improves recovery time, reduces inflammation markers, and even enhances cognitive function. One study published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition found that older adults who supplemented with creatine experienced significant improvements in functional movement and quality of life measures. But the real revelation came when I understood how creatine works with resistance training. It's not a magic pill, it's a catalyst. When you combine creatine with intentional movement, even light resistance work, your muscles respond in ways they couldn't before. They hold on to strength longer. They recover faster, and most importantly, they stop feeling like obstacles and start feeling like allies again. I decided to test it myself. Not with extreme workouts or complicated routines, just consistent movement and 5 grams of creatine monohydrate daily. Within 2 weeks, I noticed something subtle but undeniable. My joints felt less stiff in the morning. Climbing stairs didn't require the same mental negotiation, and that low-grade fatigue that had become my baseline started lifting, like fog clearing from a familiar landscape. By the end of the first month, the changes were impossible to ignore. I wasn't just moving better, I was moving with confidence again. That fear of tweaking something or overdoing it had started to fade. My body felt like it was finally getting the support it had been asking for all along, support I didn't even know it needed. What surprised me the most wasn't just how creatine monohydrate improved my experience with joint mobility and energy levels, but how everything started to feel different once I switched to the right one. I didn't expect such a clear change, and honestly, I tested more than a few before finding what actually worked. This isn't a promo or sponsorship, just sharing real results that made a noticeable difference for me. I'll leave the link below, in case you want to dig into it yourself and see what I mean. The science behind this isn't new, but it's often misunderstood. Creatine doesn't force your body to do anything unnatural. It simply restores what time and lifestyle have quietly taken away. It gives your cells the reserves they need to function the way they did when you were younger. Not by turning back the clock, but by supporting the mechanisms that keep you moving forward. And here's what nobody talks about enough. Aging well isn't about avoiding decline, it's about managing it intelligently. It's about recognizing that your body at 45 can still be strong, mobile, and pain-free if you give it the right tools. Creatine is one of those tools, backed by decades of research and real-world results that go far beyond the gym. I'm not saying this will work the same for everyone. Bodies are different. Histories are different, and what works for one person might need adjustment for another. But if you've been feeling that slow creep of stiffness, that sense that movement is becoming harder than it should be, this might be worth exploring. Not because it's trendy, but because it's grounded in biology that actually makes sense. The truth is, we've been conditioned to accept limitations that aren't as fixed as we think. Pain-free movement after 40 isn't a luxury. It's entirely possible when you understand what your body needs and give it the support to thrive. Creatine helped me rediscover that possibility. And it's changed the way I think about aging, strength, and what's still ahead. Tell us which country or city you're watching from. See you in the next video. Bye.